All right. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. Like I mentioned, this is my first time hosting in a WebEx format, so I'm hoping that you will bear with me. There's a lot happening on my little tiny laptop screen, so we will make it through this together. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll go ahead and get started. So this is the Service Learning and Civic Engagement Day of Learning, our Day of Accountability, Week of Accountability presentation. My name is Katie Haar, and I am the program supervisor for the Service Learning and Civic Engagement program, which is actually located out of the Department of Student Life and Leadership. And then our two faculty liaisons are also here if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Jill Anderson, and I am obviously one of the faculty liaisons. Been doing this, I lose track because it's so much fun. It feels like yesterday, but I think I've been doing this 5 or 6 years now as a liaison. But I've been teaching in nursing for 13 years at Chandler Gilbert, and I started doing service learning my very first semester. So welcome, everyone, and I'm here to support you.
Thanks, Jill. Anthony, are you connected yet? I'm not sure we have Anthony yet, so I will go ahead and just move forward. So today, this is kind of just the general agenda. We'd like to get introductions from you all so we know who's in the room. So we will, if we can go through, if you'll just quickly say your name, the subject area that you're teaching, and then any sort of experience that you've had with service learning or civic engagement. After introductions, we'll go through a brief history of the Chandler Gilbert Service Learning and Civic Engagement Program. We'll talk about what we've been working on over the summer, then what fall is going to look like, and then a question and answer / brainstorming session at the end of the presentation. So if you want to get started with introductions, I would love for you all to introduce yourselves, and I'll be writing names down to make sure that I know who's all in the room. I can read off the list if that would be easier. Amy, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Hey there, I am, hey guys, Amy Bjorklund. I teach with the Performing Arts Department. In this semester, I am teaching contemporary film and Intro to Cinema, all online.
Thank you, Amy. Any experience with service learning or civic engagement?
Not really. This is only, I think, my second or third year teaching here. So this is the next branch of learning more about it.
Perfect. Welcome.
Thanks.
Carolina.
Hi. Sorry, I was having issues with my audio, so I might have missed what you were saying. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So if you'll just introduce yourself, what subject area are you teaching, and then any experience that you've had with service learning or civic engagement.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so I'm Carolina Michelle. I teach geology. I'll be teaching natural disasters and the environment. I don't have an experience within this job with service learning, but I'm really looking forward to connect with the community, and especially around the environment and any concerns or things that we can address related to environment. So yes, I'm just really interested in how is it that I can do that. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Next up is Chantel. We might not have Chantel. So we'll go ahead and move next to Christopher.
Hi, I'm Chris Gillott. I teach mathematics. I have a little bit of experience with service learning, civic engagement programs. So I don't know if Faculty Senate counts as service, but I was involved in Faculty Senate at Pasadena City College, as well as doing workshops for problem solving for students. Long Beach City College had a civic engagement program. They had a science night they did annually. And for 2 consecutive years, I was doing math demonstrations as part of their, it was actually surprisingly fun and interesting and a lot of attendees. So, but I did that 2 years running, and also got involved with what they call their Little Vikings program, which is, this program they had for elementary school students. So I went and did a little activity thing with them one day. So a little bit of experience with this.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. Next is just an MEID. It says GRE. So I'm assuming it's a Greg, a Gregory.
Yes. Hey, it's Greg. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Greg Jaquan. I'm director of the Administration of Justice Studies program. I'm residential faculty. I currently teach 6 classes. Yes, I have a ton of experience with civic stuff. I currently serve on probably 3 or 4 different boards of directors of major organizations in the Valley. I have done Into the Streets before at the YMCA with Anthony 2 years ago or a couple semesters ago. So still interested in it. A ton of my students, obviously, we marry justice studies with this whole notion of community service and engagement. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Awesome. Thank you. Next up is Julie, and I think Julie actually put something in the chat, so she might not have a microphone.
I have a mic, but I had it muted. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Julie, welcome.
Okay. Hi, I'm Julie McCarty. I teach history, and I've done some service learning projects in the past. Although my students didn't do Into the Streets, I volunteered to be an Into the Streets facilitator person to take other students out into the streets a couple times. And then probably the big project that I did do with my students was this Veterans Heritage Project, where my students interviewed veterans. They did oral history interviews of them. Then they wrote up their stories. A book was published that is now in the school library and also in the Library of Congress. And each veteran and his family also received one of the books. So kind of a nice thing, a heritage thing for each family as well. I wanted to do the Natural Disaster Day this spring, but that didn't really come together. So I had to kind of give my students natural disaster work on the side, but it still did involve the topic of the natural disaster, which was mining. So
awesome. Thank you, Julie. Next up, Kelsey.
Hi, my name is Kelsey Martinez. I am new library faculty, and I don't have any experience with service learning as an educator, but when I was in graduate school 2 years ago, I did a service learning project as a student. So I'm really interested in sort of figuring out how we can support service learning through resources that the library has to offer, or creating an online guide and kind of looking at that intersection. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelsey. Luis?
Sorry, there you go. Okay. All right, there. Okay, there's my video. I'm Luis Mendoza. I'm the visual arts faculty, lead for the drawing painting. Let's see, I'm teaching drawing 2, life drawing, and design this semester. I don't have, I would say, I had something planned for last spring, but we all got sent home, so I wasn't able to do my service learning project. But I'm interested and want to do something, if we can this year, and try to build on that.
Perfect. Thank you, Luis. Next up is Mary Harris.
Hi, Katie.
Hi, Mary. How are you?
I'm good. So I'm library faculty, and I do like to know what the service learning programs are going on, what's available, and I try and promote them to the critical research instruction classes that we provide. And I've also participated in a few of them, but I am interested in seeing what else I can do.
Awesome. Thank you for being here, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, it says M. Hawa.
That's me.
Oh, that's you too? Okay, perfect. So then, Michaela?
Hi, Katie. I'm Michaela Church. I teach dance, but I'm also the honors coordinator, and I'm here to know what potential service projects honor students are going to be doing.
Awesome. Thank you, Michaela. Mike Green.
Thanks, Katie. My name's Mike Green. I'm the Director of Student Life and Leadership. Been at the college for like 17 years, I think it is. So I've seen lots of different service projects and opportunities. I'll also mention that prior to coming here, I was the director of the Boys and Girls Club in Chandler and was around when this college first started doing service and had students from Chandler Gilbert Community College coming to the Boys and Girls Club to do service. And so have a little bit of history with the program.
Yeah, Mike Green will be back for a special guest appearance in our next slide. So will our next introduction, Sarah. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Hellman, and I am the Service Learning Placement Coordinator for the Early Childhood Education Program.
Thank you, Sarah. And then last but not least, Shaylin. Oh, it looks like there might be microphone. So Shaylin Reynolds, theater faculty. She's done a variety of service learning. So awesome. Thank you for being here, everybody. Make sure I didn't miss anybody.
Anthony. You can let Anthony speak now. He's here.
Anthony's back. All right, Anthony.
Yeah, sorry, everybody. Wonderful tech issues. Gotta love it. My name is Anthony Broaden. I've been doing, I'm a communication instructor. I've been doing service learning for many, many years, I think back in the 2000s. And I have the opportunity to be one of the service learning liaisons with Jill and faculty liaison, and have really enjoyed all of this stuff and can't wait to talk about the new stuff that we're gonna be doing. Or potentials. So I'll let you take it over, Katie.
Awesome. Thanks, Anthony. All right. Yeah. So next up is a brief history of service learning and civic engagement. Let me make sure I can move this. And Jill, you're up.
You gotta find the right button to push. All right. Well, welcome everyone. It sounds like we've got a lot of great, enthusiastic folks here looking to figure out how to do service learning in this new and exciting environment. Service learning has a lot of different models. The ones historically that we've done in the past are class projects where entire classes go out and do the same thing. I know personally my classes are usually class projects and they get tapered down into smaller groups so that whatever agency that they're working with, we don't overwhelm the agency. So that's something that we have to think about too, is whatever project we want to do appropriate for our agency. Individual placements, we have another faculty who will talk about that. That's, however, where you just send a student to a particular place to do something. And in this environment, I'm not sure what kind of face-to-face stuff that we're going to do, but if we do, we need to make sure that we're following whatever Maricopa guidelines and community partner guidelines that they set in place. Service learning components, back to bullet point number 1, we need to make sure that we marry whatever activity that we want our students to do to our course objectives. And so we want that learning, that authentic experience to accentuate their course competencies, maybe what they're reading in their book, or put certain theoretical concepts into practice. And that's where that service comes in. Reflection is really important, and we like to do a thing called pre-flexion. So we talk about what kind of impact we might be making on the agency and with the agency in whatever capacity that we're serving. And then we follow that up after that service activity with reflection. Okay, what did we do? Did it turn out the way we thought? What were the impacts? How did what we accomplished for that agency impact either the patrons that go there, or did it save a whole ton of money because we did a lot of grounds cleanup and they didn't have funds to pay someone to do that? Did we take filing off their hands, which, you know, saved them tons of time so they could focus more on their other activities to serve their end customer? Assessment, as we know, Chandler Gilbert has a community of assessing, and so we need to follow up with, did our service learning activity accomplish what we hoped it would accomplish? And so that's where us as faculty come in and we figure out what those goals are and how we choose to assess them. And then, of course, we need to celebrate. We need to celebrate with the agency when we're there by saying, goodbye, this was awesome. Thank you very much for letting us, you know, come in and learn from you, because we are learning from them. And celebrate in the class after everyone has completed, so that they can just realize the deep impact that they make to their own community. We have some, I don't know, Sarah, if you want to talk about the early childhood education piece and what you guys are doing this semester.
Yes, so the early childhood teacher education program, we require students to serve 20 to 30 hours in a classroom. So they're individually placed into classrooms. This semester is going to look a lot different because of the situation that we're in. They're not being placed in classrooms, but hopefully in the spring we'll be able to get back to that. And so students that are taking our Intro to Education class, or our Intro to Exceptional Learners, our Intro to Serving English Language Learners, and our Developing Child course, they will be individually placed into a classroom where they're able to utilize the skills that they've learned and the knowledge that they've learned in their classroom in a real world setting. So it really kind of bridges that gap between theory and practice. And then it also allows for our students to build relationships with the schools. So it was kind of neat because we went to the Higley School District a couple months ago to talk about the value of service learning with the principals there. And at the school that we were having our meeting at, we had 2 or 3 teachers, a parapro, and also a student that was doing their student teaching, all just at that one campus, who had all been a part of our program at Chandler Gilbert. And the reason for that is because our students are out there building these relationships with the schools, with their mentors, and the schools are seeing what these students are doing, how they work, how they interact with children, and how they interact with staff. And so when it comes time to hiring, they snag them right up, which is really cool. And then from the mentor's perspective, you know, these teachers are in classrooms where they're usually overpopulated, they have limited resources. And so our students are going in there and they're providing a service. You know, they're not just sitting there observing, they're actually doing hands-on activities with students and just providing more support for those teachers. So it's really a great opportunity. And I'll also add that the students really value their service learning experience. We always do an end of the semester survey where students just answer a bunch of general questions about the education program overall. And service learning continually comes up as being something that the student, their favorite part of the program. Or it was, you know, they realized that they thought they wanted to teach first grade, but now they realize they want to teach ELL students. And it prepared them for their future. And so there's always all these positive feedback that comes from the students. So I really feel like it's a crucial component to the education program, as I'm sure it is to other programs throughout the college.
Thank you, Sarah. Jill, would you like to share how nursing is using service learning?
Certainly. We have service learning pretty much in every one of our blocks. So those of you unfamiliar with nursing, it's 4 semesters and we just call them blocks, 1, 2, 3, and 4. just like that. And so students start off in block 1 doing multiple service learning events and activities. And a lot of what the block 1 folks do is, there's a lot of support for homeless. There's a lot of interaction. There's a lot of getting exposed to different populations and learning how to talk to people, and to talk to people who may be different from us, or who we may have never had exposure to. Because as a nurse, as everyone may know, you're going to see a lot of different people and be in a lot of different circumstances where communication is key. And so that's how they start off in block 1. That continues into block 2. And one of the fun things that we do in block 2 is go to an agency. It's called Lawrence Institute for Education, which the teacher program goes there as well. But in block 2, we go there, and then 1 whole year later, in their 4th block, the very last semester, they go there again. So in that first introduction, they're looking at it from a standpoint of more mental health and different variety of emotional and relational situations. Then when they're in their last semester, they're looking at it more of a pediatric health perspective. And so they get to marry those 2 experiences into one even more full and rich activity. So some of you who may teach like a 101 and then a 201 class or something, you might want to consider some sort of activity like that, where if you have students from a prior class that may be in your next class, or maybe it's an incentive for them to come into your 200 level course or your next subsequent course and build on their authentic learning that they've done. So that's something to think about. Anthony?
Yeah, I think Jill, when we look at the communication component of it, she really said it. Communication is key, and so this was one of the things the communication department has always had service learning as a big piece of that, more of a department model in many instances. But as you can tell by the many people that are on this call, it's very much a division model too with the common fine arts. There's so many opportunities for our students to apply what they're learning in the classroom outside of it, and getting them to expose themselves to a lot of different personal and professional development opportunities outside the college. And I think when I look at our communication model here, one of the things that we try to do is get as many different opportunities as we can for our students to get out of the classroom and see some of those things. And we have found a lot of the things such as Into the Streets. We've always had a strong presence in that as a college, like a put together theme, right, that is out there. And we've done individual service projects, we've done group projects, but a lot of these programs that have been set out there, like Into the Streets, has been out there for a long time, has been fantastic for us. But like many of you, we are looking to see how that changes now. When we look at communication, we always have been wanting to get our students out to explore and to do it and to be there. How do we get them now to be there while they're behind a computer, or while it's virtual, or still getting them exposed to some of the things that are out there? So these are all the wonderful things we're kind of going through right now. And I think with some of the technology that we have, some of the new ways of looking at things, we'll be able to do that a little bit differently. So I'll leave it there, and we'll be able to talk more about that as we move forward. But I want to make sure we move on to Mike. And Mike, you can tell them a little bit more about what's going on with the community partner.
Unmute, sorry. So I'm going to put on a prior hat that I used to have when I was the director of the Boys and Girls Club in Chandler. We had opportunities to work with, actually it was with Dwayne Oakes, who was the founder of one of the founding director of student life at Chandler Gilbert. And then it was Maria Hesse, who was at that time English or business faculty. And it was Mary Beth Mason, who was the English faculty. And they had come to have these conversations with me about the possibility of students coming to the Boys and Girls Club to do service. And I was like, sure, love it. You know, when do I get the students to come to the club so that they can be a part of the lives of those kids at the Boys and Girls Club that need those opportunities to be, whether it be involved in activities or coaching, or being involved in some volunteer opportunities with them. So I was, of course, ecstatic to be a part of those relationships, and I wanted to see, how much more they can come to the club to be a part of me. What can I get out of this? What can I get out of this? And the models that Jill spoke of, I was really only focusing on the service piece, and I was not aware of the reflection or the assessment or the celebration. I was just, okay, service, when do they get to come to the club? When do I get to plug them into activities here? And when do I get that? So we basically had individual placements at that time. There was all of the English students who were taking English 101, 102, got to pick their own individual placement. And so we had individually students sign up to come to the Boys and Girls Club to do service. And I was, of course, happy about that. We also were a part of the End of the Streets at the time. And we got to have students come to do service opportunities once a semester, as what we had involved in the club. So it was exciting, and I was really happy at the club or perspective of a community partner. But the perspective that I always tell Katie and all, I know Anthony's heard this before, but one of the things that I really did not get, I did not understand, and I did not get at all, the learning that was going on in those classrooms, because I was only focused on the service and the Boys and Girls Club and what they meant for me. And so Mary Beth Mason invited me to come back into the classroom after they had done service at the club, and said, well, you need to come listen to the reflections that are here, that these students are reflecting on their service at your agency. Please come listen to what they have to say. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll come. But then the light bulb came on, because then I got to hear the students' perspective of what they learned, how they grew, what they got out of that ability to be at the Boys and Girls Club. And so that reflection time, I realized, was critical. And it was not about me at the Boys and Girls Club. It was about those students in those classrooms and learning that they had. And so I started with that kind of an understanding now. Now I was more of a community partner who understood a little bit more what was going on in those classrooms. And I wanted to play more. I wanted to have the opportunities for those students to come in, because I, of course, wanted the opportunities for the students at the Boys and Girls Club, the young people there. But I also got it. I understood why those young people at the students from Chandler Gilbert were involved. And I got to see that growth and development when I came in to hear the reflections. To me, I think that as a community partner, one of the things that they are not always aware of is what's going on in your classrooms. They just see this as an opportunity for volunteers to come to do something at my agency, whatever it be, cleaning up or working with young clients or whoever they're working with, but they don't really understand that piece. And so, but I'll say that there are some amazing community partners that we have and have been working with Chandler Gilbert for as long as I've been here, and even before. They were doing partnerships with the college, and so they get us. There has been some turnover, I'll say, in some of the volunteer coordinators, but there's still those agencies. I think Anthony's been involved with the YMCA for years and years and years. They have always have the partnership, and they get us, and they understand what's going on here at the college as well as at the agency. So I'll just leave it at that, and I will say, because I know that Katie said my time was limited and I wouldn't be able to talk for a long time. So I'll leave it at that and let you all know that perspective of a community partner is there, and they're learning too about what's going on in your classrooms, and they do get it, some of them, and some of them have to learn a little bit more.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. So the reason that we kind of went through these different scenarios is because I think I wanted to make sure that I shared with you all, right? You're all coming from different divisions. You're all coming from even different types of classrooms. So these are just some examples, large scale, on how divisions are modeling their service learning, but then also how a faculty singly can model a class to have service learning, and then making sure we hear that community partner perspective. So next up is civic engagement. So civic engagement at Chandler Gilbert has been happening before my time. So I've only been at Chandler Gilbert for the past 5 years, but have been the program supervisor for only about a year. So previous to me, there was a civic engagement college committee that was made up of multiple different areas. They worked on all different types of events and projects related to civic engagement. We're not quite sure when the committee disbanded, but the committee did disband. And so that work has been happening kind of individually and in pockets across the campus in different divisions and different things like that. So as of 2019, when my position was posted, the job responsibilities of civic engagement was added to this position. So I'm super excited to kind of be digging in to what this looks like at a more program focused level. And just wanted to share with you all, I'm looking and kind of getting a group of folks together that are interested in civic engagement work and working on a civic engagement campus action plan. Because like I said, there are things that are already happening in pockets, and I would love to be able to help support those efforts, but then also kind of guide a larger narrative of what the campus's civic engagement program looks like. So that one, super, super brief history because I don't have a ton of what was going on before me. So that is civic engagement program at Chandler Gilbert. And then this is probably where this is going to all just be a lot of information, but know that there are resources and you can always come talk to Jill and Anthony and I after kind of this presentation if you need clarification. But so we in the Service Learning and Civic Engagement program have been working very, very, very hard over the summer on these different things here in the bullet points. So first off, connecting with our community partners obviously has been huge. When COVID went down and we all got stuck working remotely, we had community partners canceling projects left and right, just not being able to have the capacity to think through what do students coming here, what does that mean? Some of it obviously was for the safety of their population. So the senior centers were the first ones to kind of close up and say, we can't have any outside folks come in and work with our residents. Our K-12 partners, obviously their end of spring semester looked very different. So once kind of everybody shut down for spring, over the summer, I reached out again to our community partners to say, hey, service learning at Chandler Gilbert is still here. Yes, it may look very different, but we know that you are still working and still may need some help. So how can we help you? In all honesty and transparency, I've heard back from some of our community partners. I've still not heard back from others. We've gained a couple new community partners. So just keeping that connection to the community partners has been really important. So know that that work is continuing. Next up is understanding risk management and what this looks like for our students moving forward. So the district office risk management has told us that we in service learning do not have to require our students to complete any additional paperwork or forms related to in-person service. So typically, well, not typically, all service learning projects, students have to complete an assumption of risk form. That was pre-COVID and that will be now and moving forward. However, Jill shared with us a clinical requirement document that was sent out by the district that actually includes field experiences, which I believe service learning falls into. So that document will be shared in our Canvas course. So just kind of look for that, just to understand. It's just kind of the general things. Like if you're going to require your students to do in-service at an organization, like they should be health checking themselves. They shouldn't go anywhere sick. If they do end up sick after they've served, like making sure they're reporting it so we can just keep track of things like that. So we'll make sure we definitely share that document with you all. The next bullet is staffing. I'm so excited. For many of you, you may not know, but we lost our admin assistant about a year ago. She got another position. And so we have been without a full-time support person. So right now, myself, as the only full-time employee, has been getting help from 2 part-time individuals who are incredible. And I just don't know what I would have done without them. But over the summer, we were approved to hire a new position. It's going to be a program specialist. which is really exciting. So if you know anybody you think that would be interested or great at that job, I can share that information in the Canvas course as well once it gets posted. So it's super, super exciting information for us. The next one is the new website. So Chandler Gilbert launched the new website. I believe it was in July, so some of you may have been off of campus. I doubt that you were. You were probably all still working. But we just wanted to kind of share, it's a little bit different of a setup from how it was before. So service learning is located under the academics tab, under experiential learning. So they really changed the way that service learning was being communicated. So it was previously written to talk to faculty, like why is service learning in fact to faculty important? But now we've changed the wording for students to understand why service learning is important or why they would want to do service learning as students. So that's a really cool piece. So under, like I said, the academics tab, and then experiential learning is some little tips and tricks or verbiage for students to understand service learning. But then because we are located under student life and leadership, there's some really great connections under the campus life tab as well. So when we talk about civic engagement, we talk about student leadership skills, we talk about service and volunteerism, all of these great things that make students more civically minded. They can find a lot of that information under the student life tab. So here's an area that will direct students to the clubs and organizations we have on campus. This tab here directs students to different leadership opportunities on campus. And then here's an area that when you click on it will direct students into thinking about civic engagement. So there is an area on civic engagement at the campus and some different ideas to get them involved. There's civic action as far as district-wide. Maybe they want to think about joining the Maricopa Student Senate, and then some civic-minded things related to their city or their state. So we really, really spent a lot of time focusing on what resources students would be wanting to see or wanting to know about, and trying to connect those with how we all interlink programs and things through the campus. The next thing I wanted to show you that we worked really hard on is the Student Life newsletter. So we, over the summer, really spent a lot of time. There was so much information going on about COVID-related things that we wanted to spend time sending out different types of information. So we were creating them weekly. Actually, moving forward in the fall semester, it's going to be bi-monthly. So twice a month, we'll be doing a newsletter. And it's just full of information that students might not necessarily know that they need to know. So let me just show you quickly. It talks about events on campus. It talks about when we had graduation, we did some student highlights of graduation. And then there's a service section. So there were different ideas, clubs and organizations section. There were just different things that were not COVID related that we wanted to make sure our students were getting, making sure they were doing the census, making sure, just different, making if they wanted to sew masks, what types of service could they do from their homes that would still help the local community. We did some community partner spotlights. So the newsletter has a lot of great resources and information for students. So if you want to share that, obviously we would love for you to share that information. So that was all the work that was happening on the website, which is a lot. Like I said, this is going to be a lot of information coming at you. So please, please bear with us and we can share and make sure we connect you where we need to towards the end of the presentation. Next up is a Canvas course. We developed a Canvas course before my time, and they really utilized it, I think, as like a archival situation, storing information that was important. But since we went all remotely, we really, Jill, Anthony, and I really have revamped what information is in the Canvas course. And moving forward, since you all won't be able to drop into my office like normally happens on the first week of school, this is really going to be kind of where we're going to be sharing information with faculty related to service learning and civic engagement. So, we have some brief history, some great reading articles on just, what is high impact practices. We use high impact practices. We talk about community-based learning. We talk about work-based learning. We talk about service learning. They're all kind of similar, but have their different, aspects. So some readings are here, which is great. This community partner co-educator section is really cool. If you're wanting to see who Chandler Gilbert is partnered with, you can find that information here. This is a list of some virtual or remote service ideas. We've had some awesome faculty share their assignments and projects with us, so getting some different ideas on assignments and projects. And then I think this is where we put a lot of information in. I'm sure similar to you all, you've been getting emails and articles and webinars and trainings and all types of different things related to your discipline or the things that you guys are involved in. So sharing that information here, this is a list of organizations that focus on service learning and community-based learning. And then down here, obviously we're going to build on this, but this was just a really important document about how to integrate some electoral engagement into your course in like a low, medium, or high implementation. So that was a great article I found. And then a list of organizations that are doing some of the civic engagement work. So if you're interested in being a part of this Canvas course, please email me, and we would love to add you, because this is where I think we'll really start sharing some of our stuff moving forward this fall. And then last up is Give Pulse. So this is really exciting news. I was hesitant to share it because we're still in the building phase, but really want to show you kind of the direction that Chandler Gilbert's service learning and civic engagement program is moving towards. Give Pulse is a service management software. And so we at Chandler Gilbert had an outdated database where we were tracking all of our service hours and what students were doing and the different projects and programs they were going through. And so we were lucky that over the summer we were able to get this new software, and currently we are building it. So we built a lot of it over the summer, but it's still not done. So we're soft launching it right now. And so what this is really, I like to call it a service job board, right? So students will log in, they see that they're in Chandler Gilbert, they see our vision, mission, values. They can see all of our community partners down here, and these are actually approved community partners that we have. They're called EEPAs. They're experiential education placement agreements with, or whatever. But these are all of our Chandler Gilbert approved partners. Like we mentioned earlier, so nursing is heavily involved. So they actually have a subgroup. Education has a subgroup, and they can kind of manage their students and their service through these subgroups. And then, like I said, this is a soft pilot, but our community agencies can post service opportunities and what I'm referring to as like a service opportunity board. So I'll show you kind of like the bigger board here. So that's just the Chandler Gilbert one, and we're soft launching, so there's not a ton of information in there right now. But hopefully what this will look like is all of our community partners will be able to post opportunities where they're looking for students to do service, or they need help at such and such an event, or they have this project and they need 20 students. So it's really going to turn into a service opportunity board where then we get to track, like my student logged in, they RSVP'd, they actually showed up at the event, and they clock in and get their service. And then that service the hours are verified either by myself or by the community agency, depending on how they've decided to run their page in Give Pulse. So Give Pulse is very, very new, very, very exciting. Like I said, we're still building it. So the shell is built. IT hasn't dumped everybody in there yet. So that's the next piece that we're really excited about. So like I said, lots of resources, lots of information here. We'd love to talk more with you about that moving forward. But I'm sure you guys are all wondering, so what's fall look like? What does fall look like for service learning and civic engagement? And I was teasing that I was going to put like your guess is as good as ours in this page, but I thought, no, I'll say it a little nicer. So as you can see, there are still many, many unknowns for our program. And a lot of that is obviously based on you. So you as faculty, what are you looking for? What projects would you like your students to think about or start working on? So lots of unknowns. The next big one here is our community partners, right? Our community partners' needs have changed. they have had to pivot just as much as we have had to pivot. So a lot of them, like I mentioned, senior centers are still not allowing people as much to come in. They're doing a lot of virtual things. Our youth folks, K-12 folks, aren't allowing students to come in necessarily. But I know that there are agencies out there like YMCA and Boys and Girls Club. They're still providing services to our local community, the food distribution places, the homeless shelters. So it's kind of like this case by case scenario, right? Like we may have community partners that can't accommodate us right now, and we just have to be flexible, and we have to, let them say no to us, right? But there are other places that still need our help. So I really feel like my job is kind of playing the matchmaker. So I hear from you, like what you're really wanting, what projects you're thinking about, and then I try to dig into my brain on what organizations are going to match that, but then who is taking in people or providing virtual opportunities, and I try to match you guys together and then create that connection. So I may introduce, Anthony to the YMCA, and then him and the YMCA can work out what's going to work best for the agency and for the organization or for the faculty. And I'm not sure if Anthony mentioned this or Mike might have, but Anthony, luckily right now, is on the YMCA board. So a lot of really, really great connections in service learning are the things that you all as faculty are already connected to. So you may already volunteer at an organization that you could create a cool project with. And I would love to help you figure that out and facilitate that. So make sure that, in these brainstorming ideas, like think of the things that you're already doing, think of the areas or the parts of the community that you're already connected to, and how can we help make that connection for your students as well. So the last one is, we've mentioned this a couple times, like we've really had to get creative. We've really had to brainstorm and problem solve, and we're just going to have to continue to do that through the whole semester because things are going to continue to change. So for many of you, you may not be familiar with Empty Bowls, but Empty Bowls is an event that we have every fall and now spring at the Williams campus. It's a collaboration with the Chandler Gilbert Ceramics Department, and then a collaboration with Ascend, which is one of our local nonprofit agencies. They do a lot of work in food insecurity and then like family resources. So we partner where the Chandler Gilbert students create these amazing ceramic bowls, and then we sell them to people, and then that money goes to the Ascend nonprofit agency. So that's usually a large in-person event. Well, this semester, we're actually going to try to do this virtually. So we're going to be doing an online auction. I have no idea if it's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm willing to try it, and I'm excited about the opportunity. And I think that's kind of the theme that we're going to move forward with this semester. So we've talked and thought about maybe a virtual volunteer fair for our students, maybe a virtual community meet and greet with faculty and our community partners so that you guys can kind of get familiar with what our agencies are and talking with them. So really, we appreciate you all being here and hope that this innovation brainstorming thing is exciting. I was fearful that we wouldn't have this is exactly what fall is going to look like, because that's just not what it is right now. But we are here. We are here to support you. We're here to talk through some ideas. So Anthony, if you want to take it away.
You bet. Can you jump to the next slide too, Katie, for me? Some of the things, when we say the call to action, one of the things that we really wanted to give out to all of you is that we don't necessarily obviously have all the answers. When Michaela was saying, hey, what honors projects are we going to do? Whew, that's a good question. I know that I'm having to rethink how I'm doing my honors projects. I used to send my students out and go do. And the reality is those avenues are going to be shut down a little bit for them. I think how we're going to need to look at that service is going to be a little bit different. Some of those things we may be looking at going on to their websites to be able to do that stuff. We're going to have to look at things a little bit differently. So what we're trying to do is get everybody for this semester is to say, give some things a try. Maybe change your service learning stuff to a little bit more lower stakes, and maybe offer them as where we didn't really want this before because it was kind of scattershot, but maybe it's extra credit options. I'm still going to have a service learning component for my honor students, but I'm going to have them solve that problem just like we're asking you to make those connections of those things that you're passionate about and that you care about. We're going to be asking that of our students and then helping them facilitate and work through what this might look like. Because in that sort of opportunity of talking with them and having them help develop that and have a stake in that, I think you'd be surprised at some of the cool things that might pop up that can help you and work for the future. So I want to make sure that we go through some of these things because we've been doing a lot of talking at you, and I want to make sure that you guys have some stuff to be able to talk about and ask questions. Katie, do you want to go through these resources real quick? I know we went way, I think, a little over time on some of these other areas, so I don't want to spend too much time, but we are going to have, as you can see below, we have office hours and some follow-up collaborative sessions, and Katie's office is going to have her session. The Canvas site is going to be up where you can look at those resources. A lot of this hour is just an information dump for many of you that we're hoping we can take this time more individualistically and individualize, whether it's coming in to meet with Jill and I, to really work through what that might look like for you and your class. Same thing for as you're planning for the fall semester. Maybe we take a look at that and say, hey, what can we do on a short, more specific approach for your class? So we want to encourage these days and times that are out there, as well as October 2nd, where we do something that similar to what we're doing right now, only on a very specific scale. We don't do all the upfront stuff that we were doing and kind of that introduction, but we really get down to the nitty gritty and say, okay, what's working for you? What do you need help with? You don't have to have your service learning thing fully developed right now, but to have it out there to say, here's what we're going to do, be prepared for that, and it's evolving. What do you think about that? Having questions, asking your students different, and we can help you kind of navigate that as to what it might look like for you, and maybe just modifying something you've already done. So quickly try to go through that. Katie, do you want to jump to the next? Did I cover everything on
Well,
there?
yeah, let me just clarify one thing. So on Friday, I sent out an email that has links to the faculty interest form. It has links to my office hours. It has links to the liaison's office hours. So just make sure you go back and read that email. The faculty interest form is really the kind of initiator. So once you've completed the faculty interest form, that tells me, Anthony, and Jill that you're interested in doing some sort of service learning or civic engagement project. And then we reach out to you to find out where your specific needs are. So it's really important for you to complete that faculty interest form because that's what flags us on reaching out to you. So I know that we're like 5 minutes. We have 5 minutes and we want to be able to respect your time. I know that was a lot of information, but it will be housed in the Canvas course. And then this recording will also be going to Anjali, and I think she has a folder for all this information. Does anyone have any questions? I haven't been able to see the chat, so I don't know kind of what's going on there. Jill and Anthony.
Yeah, Katie, there is a question. Julie asked if it would be possible to do something for an 8-week class that starts on the 24th. So that starts next week. Can something happen for an 8-week class?
I think that's an awesome idea, and I'd love to talk about it.
So yes, let's do it.
Yeah, Julie, that would be great. Send me an email if you want to talk this week. I know that my office hours, I don't think start until next week. So if there's something that you guys definitely want to get going on this week, shoot me emails and we can schedule some times to chat. If there's no other questions, for those that have done service learning projects, I would love to hear kind of maybe some things that have worked, maybe some things that you found challenging that we can work on adjusting during this remote time. If anybody has anything to share, I'd love to hear it. Well, alrighty, I'm not gonna make you guys share with me if you don't want to. So we appreciate you all being here. We know that this is going to be an unusual fall semester, but please know that my team, like I mentioned, we're located in the student life and leadership area. We're here to support you as far as if you have questions on what we can do, if you have questions on, really anything. And then I know Jill and Anthony, I always go to them as like my assignment gurus, or how do we put this in the curriculum, or what does this look like in the class structure. They're really that kind of academic support piece. So yeah, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you all so much for being here.
Hey, Katie, just a few things. There's a couple of questions there, and I didn't want to interrupt you, but
go ahead.
I want to be able to answer these real quick. Is a possible service thing might be reaching out to the teachers who are now online? Yeah, possibly. I mean, with our students helping other things where we can set up coordinating like tutor type stuff and things along those natures for other students that are in those and working with other classes, working with other student groups at the high schools or elementary schools. I think the opportunities right now are endless, and they're popping up of things that we never even thought about before that could be an awesome opportunity to connect. Do we have projects like Into the Streets that occur? Can they occur? What to say? This might keep thinking have to occur in the East Valley. Not necessarily, but we want to make sure that we are working with these community partners that we have that relationship with. But we've had other people that have gone further into Phoenix, and we've gone all over the place. So again, that's talking with Katie and making sure that we're not stepping on somebody else's toes in another college that may have a relationship, or we can leverage that relationship.
Yeah, and I do want to say, even if there's an organization that may not be an approved Chandler Gilbert partner, we can still work with them. The students just need to complete a different assumption of risk form. So there's definitely some flexibility, like Anthony was saying, there's definitely flexibility now during this time to really get creative and think outside the box.
And we want to capture all of these things. You guys are coming up with some great opportunities on here. And I would say, yeah, let's talk about all of these. We talked supply drives. We've talked social media blitzes and just getting people to make people aware, get students to help post on their Instagram accounts or Google Tweet Face, all those fun things that they are going to do. That the opportunities are endless. So we want to see what we can do for them. And really that's pulling your assignments together. And then when you pop it into your Canvas, then let's get it so that we can share that with one another. And then we can take some of that stuff and adopt it and adapt it to make it work for our own. That's what this semester is going to be all about, is that exploration, navigating some of these things out, and anything goes. Because what has happened before in the past that has worked doesn't work this semester. So maybe what didn't work before is going to work now. So let's open our minds, open our our communication and collaboration, and I think we can get this stuff done.
And for those that are interested, so there are a few job or service opportunity boards. So if you're really wanting your students to kind of do their own research and kind of dig in to what their own service looks like, there's a volunteermatch.org and justserve.org. And they usually have filters that can say, in person or closest to you or COVID related or, so check out those sites. They are actually in the Canvas course under the virtual document. So you'll see links to that. But that really goes into saying it's changing the way that Chandler Gilbert has done its program typically. So typically we as staff and faculty have kind of controlled the project or controlled the service that the students are doing. In this virtual world, I think we need to put some of that responsibility back onto the student. Making sure that they're being honest about their actual service that they've done. Doing tutoring, there may be implications, like if they're tutoring a young child, how do we think through, maybe they pair up so that there's more than two people one-on-one. Really, it is just going to be thinking and talking and innovating, but there are definitely possibilities for sure. So I will make sure I capture all these chats. But yeah, we are definitely out of time. We really appreciate you all being here. And yeah, reach out to us. Thank you so much.
Katie and Jill, I don't know if you guys want to talk a little bit afterwards.
Yeah, I was afraid because I was hosting the meeting. If I left, it would like kick everyone out. And so I didn't know if people were going to ask us questions or anything. So I figured I would just stay on until.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I'm looking at that too. And it looks like Mike's got to go to another meeting. And yeah, that's cool, dude.
Good job, everybody. Thanks for letting me be a part of it.
Appreciate it.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, so Katie, it looks like Jill jumped off.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, man, we had a lot of information in there. I was worried because we spent 45 minutes. We didn't even get to their stuff, and I wanted to and really focus
let me
on that.
stop the recording. Hold on.
Yeah.
How do I do that? Stop.